Welcome, Rafiq. And Deju, welcome. If you've seen any of my posts and you've seen this one going around, I kind of print it out just so we can see it. I'll read about the post and then we'll dive a little deeper, but I think that might be the easiest way to do it. Welcome, my cat said no. Welcome, beer. Just giving it a minute here. And it's Saturday, so my daughter's home, so we're winging it. We're going to do the best we can. She says it's party all day long. Try and do it with as little disturbances as possible. I made her promise me 1 hour. Okay. Okay, go sit down and watch your show.
I can see.
I know, it's not for you to see. I have 1 hour to work and then we can go play.
Where you?
Well, I don't know where. Where do you want to go play?
The park.
Okay, we can go to the park. Alright, so I'll give it 1 more minute. Sorry. I don't want to wait too long, but I want to give it a minute or so for people to show up. And then so if you have my website, I have I don't know if you see this. You'll see always this logo with my all my content, especially my healing content. Right now is the fire and flow. That's not what we're doing. Remember the deal? Sit. Thank you. Welcome, Ara, Andrew, and Mr. Smith. So, when you see my posts, sometimes they're little video voiceovers, sometimes they're just the picture with just some questions. It's about planting the seed and just getting curious. So, this is my website here at the bottom, creativelyguided.ca. So you can go there, you can check out my teas, my tinctures. They're all handmade. Energy alignment tools. I have guided journals, things I've created, all kinds of good stuff. Welcome, Tim and Sean. So, I'm just going to start it and show you again. This was the ad that you would have seen, and then the one before it was this one, Rage is a Teacher Too. Now, they're all different. It's not always going to be the same. But as we're talking about manifesting and doing all these things, everyone's love and light. We got to be amazing. We got to be great. And now listen, the idea is to keep your vibration high as much as you can. That's true. It's great. But life happens. We all have traumas. We all have things that we've struggled to overcome or still struggling to overcome, which is nothing wrong with that. It's a layered system and it's a constant journey, right? Welcome, Omar. Oh, Vars, welcome. So anyways, it's a journey. It's not a one-step process. It is digging a little deeper. And when you're sitting in the... Cherise is smacked. Oh, well, at least you changed it up a little. Welcome. Welcome, Salma. Anyways, when we get angry, we have to sit with it and pause. And when we can get to that point where we understand what it is. Grace, what's the rules?
I'm not at my TV.
I don't care. How do you deal with that? A nice try, sucker. All right. So anyways, when you stay in love and light, it's not going to happen as simple as we can do it. So you have to sit with it. You have to get curious. You have to understand what it is. So I'm going to read you the little ad thing, and then you can go to my website and check out my guided journals. I have my story, which is a reflection story, but it talks about a lot of the things I've been through in the last 5 years. probably 10 or 15 years, but I glossed over it. I didn't go really into detail because we don't trauma dump around here. So anyways, the sacred side of anger. Anger is sacred energy. When honored, it becomes clarity. Anger is the energy of change. When we transmute anger into purpose, we stop burning and start building. You're not too much. You're exactly what you need to be. The universe has given you all the tools to build your future brick by brick. Welcome, Nana and Beth. Now we're just trying to teach you how to use it. Manifesting isn't always love and light. It's learning to balance the shadow and shine, knowing when to draw from each. That's where true power is born. Welcome, Mohammed. So, when you see these posts coming up, it's just about getting curious, because the best way we can do anything in this world is by getting curious. We have enough people judging us and picking up the torches and all those things. DDMs, welcome. And Mohammed, welcome. When we pick up the torch from other people judging us, programming us to think all these bad, negative things, what happens is we start picking up that torch ourselves. So then we feel like, oh, I just have to be quiet. My anger isn't valid. My anger has no reason to be speaking. And you just pick up that torch and you carry it for them, and then they don't even have to do the work anymore. And we're not doing that anymore. Because what anger is trying to teach you is, one, what boundary was crossed, why it's so important, and why you stand for that. And when you get to that space where you can understand those simple questions, you know exactly what you don't want. Then maintaining them boundaries becomes a lot more fierce. And it also teaches you in manifestation exactly what you don't want. Miss Grace, it's the last warning, and then you lose the park today. Sit down. You had 1 hour. That was the deal, right? So we're not doing that again. It's your last warning. La Quesala? I don't know how to say that. If I butchered it respectfully, I apologize. But when you start asking those questions, that's how you start to understand, well, what is this trying to teach me? Okay, there's no use in being angry if you're not going to validate it and understand why it is that you're angry, what made you mad, what makes you feel that strongly. Because to have anger means that you care enough. Miss Grace, it's the last warning, I'm telling you, and you'll go in there. Do you want to go to your room and play? Yes or no? Then stop. It's supposed to be 1 hour. We can't get through 1 hour if I have to argue with you the whole time, right?
I had to wait.
Yes, we made an agreement, did we not? So now you need to stand up to your end of the agreement. Got it? Thank you. Sorry, it's Saturday, so we work with our children on Saturdays. We don't get the option when she's in school. Sometimes it's a little easier. Miss Grace. Okay, take it to your bedroom. Go watch TV in your room. Well, then stop. It happens. We have to deal with our children, but no matter what. And she wants to work with me. She said she wanted to work with me. Now she doesn't want to. So then there may be a little arguing. But it's okay because I believe in boundaries and she doesn't get to cross them either. So when we do learn what we're trying to do, we're understanding that anger is trying to protect us, right? Because anger is really just a reaction to fear, right? So 10:10 on the clock. Thank you, Spirit. And when we understand what fear we're reacting to and why, we can break it down just by asking questions, right? And then when we learn the difference between reacting and responding, we allow ourselves the space to get curious, to ask. Welcome, Nervous Raccoon. We allow ourselves that space, and then we can sit with it. We can ask the questions. And the anger fades, because usually it's just trying to teach us something, but we just push it back, and we don't listen to what it's trying to say. So it's just about asking questions, getting curious, and not punishing yourself, validating you're angry, because 99.99% of the time, when you're angry, there's a reason, and it's an absolutely valid reason. So be mad, but understand what it is. Get curious, sit with it. Why am I mad? What boundary was crossed? What is it I'm trying to protect? What has happened that gave me this reaction, right? This response. Welcome, XXX. And then anger is a shield that raises when something feels unsafe or dishonored. It's the body's way of saying, this matters to me. Beneath it often lives fear or hurt, but its purpose is protection, to pull us back into awareness of our boundaries and our worth. And when we start understanding and accepting that we are inherently worthy, especially if we're putting out respect and love and truth into the world, then we absolutely deserve that in return. And when you're giving that out and someone isn't giving it back, you have every right to be angry. That doesn't mean we're trying to punish them or beat them up or ruin their lives or any of those things. It means we have the absolute right to speak our truth, to say exactly what it is and stand up for ourselves. And then they have the opportunity to either rise up and behave accordingly or move along because they're not allowed to be a part of your life. And when you learn to maintain your boundaries like that, then, that's how we move forward. Welcome, Peggy. So, angry as a boundary teacher, channeling passion and not suppressing it. Okay, so when it teaches you what that bottom line is that you absolutely will not stand for, that line in the sand, it allows you to be very, very clear on what you don't want. And we don't want to focus on what we don't want, but it just has that knowledge in the back of our brain. If we know we don't want that, so we want anything but. So when you start manifesting, you use that as a base point, and then you can branch out into something. I want this. This seems really nice. And then, as things trigger and as we understand, we go, oh, why did that make me angry? I thought I wanted that. And maybe you did, but you weren't just as clear when you asked for it because you didn't really know. So when you see that you're getting angry or things that are upsetting you, it's because they don't make you feel safe and they don't, they feel like they're crossing your boundary. And when that happens, we're obviously going to react in anger. The idea is now to respond and say, oh, what did that teach me? I don't want that anymore, so I'm going to start from here, and then let's try this. And that's how you learn. When these boundaries are there, okay, I know I don't want that anymore, so let's move forward and see what we do want next. Welcome, Oana. Okay, and then we have, we want to turn that fire into focus, right? So that's exactly what it is when we're asking all these questions. We're asking why that upset us, why that hurt my feelings, why that made me angry, and how are we going to move forward accordingly, right? If we know what we don't want, how do we ask more clearly for what it is we do want, right? And what lesson did we learn? So instead of saying, they made me mad, it was horrible, and blah, blah, blah. Yes, I got angry, but I learned why I got angry. I learned all of these great things. So thank you for that moment of anger, because now it allowed me to learn more about myself and other people. Like, they have the opportunity to stand up and be good human beings, or they have the opportunity to not. And when they decide not to, what happens? They have to go. They get cut out of your life, and you move along, right? You move forward knowing that you did what you could, you stood up for your rights, and they made the decision to not respect them. And then when you let go, you leave them be. Welcome, Trust in Tarot. And then when we stop fighting our anger and we start listening to it, it becomes sacred. A messenger instead of a weapon. Once the fear softens and the fire is allowed to move through us, curiosity opens the door to what is trying to show us all along. Truth, direction, self-respect, all of those things we honor so deeply. And some people, more than others, have that higher honor, higher code of ethics they carry themselves to, right? They set the standard for themselves. And unfortunately, not everybody is at that level, right? So they don't understand that as well. But that doesn't mean you lower your level or your standard, right? You 100% stand by yours. We don't have to be cruel to people that don't respect our boundaries, but at the same time, we clearly don't align. So I, with all the respect in the world and all the love, I wish you the best. And you just keep on going and you move on without them. And coming from many, many years of experience, that's exactly what you have to do. And until you learn to love yourself and honor your self-worth enough, it becomes very hard to do. And especially if people gaslight you or make you question your own self. That's why really getting to know those questions and really getting curious in those moments. Why is this making me mad? Why is this creating fear? Why do I not feel safe? Why? And you get right to the core of it. And it's okay. You're not judging yourself. You're just wanting to understand. And when you get to that space that you can understand, now you know yourself so well that nobody can shake you. They can try to gaslight you. They can try to confuse you. They can try to do any of those things. But the very bottom line of it is, I've already been to that core. I've already asked to that core. And I know exactly what I don't want. And even if you have this, and this, but I know 100%, my bottom line is I don't want that. I don't want to be treated that way. I don't want to have to deal with this every day, and I don't want to feel unsafe. Your brain is going to say, no matter what you do, I wish you the best, but I have to move on because that one thing is my bottom line, and you can't keep crossing it. And once you get to that point, you absolutely know that you move on with the best of intentions. I don't hate you. I don't dislike you. I don't have any of those things. I just know that you can't even give me the bare minimum. I'm not going to hold out for that, right? And then you move on. So what is it now? How do I explore outward and learn what it is more? But you can't do that until you understand and ask those questions. So some of these, the shift from reaction to listening happens the moment we pause long enough to breathe, between the trigger and the truth. In that space, anger transforms from the fire that consumes to the fire that illuminates, showing us what we're ready to heal or protect. So some of the reflection ones, some of the best ones to get down to the bottom is obviously, what is your anger trying to protect? Usually it's you, your moral code, your actual personal safety, your thought process, your sanity. Your sanity is worth protecting at any time of day. 6IX, welcome. And then we have, what truth hides under your frustration? Excuse you, kiddo. What truth hides under your frustration? Okay. What truth hides under your frustration? So when you think about it for just a few moments, why are you frustrated? What made you frustrated? What made you question all these things? What put you in fear? Right? And it's just about asking why, what, when, how. And when you do that, and you stop coming up with answers, when there's no more answers, you're probably really close to the core. And when you get really close to that core, until you understand, validate, and really accept and love that part of you, because that part of you is there. It was always there trying to protect you. So when you try to hide it or shame it or ignore it, all it does is grow. And that's when those triggers get stronger and stronger and stronger. Grace? So we need to understand that getting to that core and sitting with that core and say, that makes sense. And that was there to protect me. I understand you. Thank you for being there to protect me. But now I understand and I can protect myself. Literally have that conversation with yourself so you can validate those emotions. Welcome, Sandra. When you validate those emotions and you say, I understand why you've been trying to protect me this whole time, because I didn't understand. But now I am older. Now I understand. Now I have more experience. And I don't need that. And then what happens is it softens, and eventually you begin to align it with yourself, right? And when you do that, it's like, it's not being triggered anymore. People can't trigger it because you've literally started to understand it. And now I understand that. And sometimes it may still be a trigger because it takes practice, right? But as soon as you recognize the system, you recognize the moments, the speech, the patterns, the things that triggered it into you. So now when you see them, you're like, I see what's coming. So we already know that this trigger is going to start coming here. So when we sit with this trigger, if I already know that, so now I know I need to take an extra breath. I know I need to remind myself, I'm here, I'm safe, everything is good right here and right now. And when you get to that space, my Lord, there's nothing like that. Anger can flow through you and you're like, hey, I understand what it is. And then it actually becomes almost funny, almost humorous, because you see the trigger and you're like, I know me, I know my patterns. And when you get to that point, people can't trigger you as easily because you already know what it is. And you're like, oh, that's it. Thank you so much. Right? And that's the goal. this, when you manifest from that point, say, I already know this is coming, so how can I maneuver so I can avoid that from happening? Or how can I maneuver so when that happens, I know how I'm making sure that I'm taking that moment to breathe, to understand, ooh, why did that one trigger me? That was a little different, but that still triggered me. So what was it about that? When you can have those conversations with yourself, the quicker you can do that, then obviously the better off you are. Welcome, Friday and always welcome. Okay, so then we have how do you know when you've crossed from expression into explosion? Okay, usually if you're not asking that question and you're just sitting there, what happens is it builds resentment, right? You get to a space where you're like, how do they not see they're upsetting me? How do they not see that this is happening? I don't understand. Why can't I explain it? And then not only do you build up that resentment for them for not doing what you want them to do, then you build up that resentment and that anger towards you. Why can't I just say it? Why can't I tell them what I'm needing or wanting or what they're not doing? Why can't I do that? And then you have like a twofold when you hold it in. Every time you bottle it in. And then when it comes to that point where you're just trying to explain, but you're already frustrated, you're already overwhelmed, you already have all this going on. So then how do you explain it and articulate it in a kind of manner where it's not going to be taken as an attack? Because what happens when you're ready to explode and you just dump it out, it's like you're yelling or you're doing this, and then people are like, are you mad? Why are you mad? What's going on? And they take it as an attack when you're just trying to explain what you should have tried to explain probably 20 times ago, right? But that's when it comes to explosion, and that's what's really important. Welcome, IROC. So when you can learn that difference and learn that space, and even if it's the next time, just a couple more times sooner, and it's just each time you try a little bit sooner, you'll find that trigger becomes not an explosion point anymore. It's not a trigger anymore because you kind of understand how to express yourself, and you know that you're doing it from a space of, I'm not attacking you. I'm not doing anything. I'm telling you that this is my bottom line, and you have a choice. You can stay with it and continue to try and cross my boundaries, and then you have to go. You're out of my life. Or you can respect it and stand up accordingly, and we can find compromise or conversation where we can make sure that your boundaries aren't being crossed and neither are mine. And that's in any situation, person, place, or thing. Okay? I'm good. How are you? And then we have, how do we get from the space of reaction to listening? And the first thing we need to understand is we need to listen to ourselves first. Because if you go into any conversation where you're reacting or you're listening to respond, you're not listening. You have to actively listen. And that goes to yourself too. Are you always going to answer yourself? If you're me, you might. I kind of now, I used to try to hold it back or try to have those conversations, but now I just don't even care. I just answer myself. Because what happens when that answer comes, you're actually having that conversation. That's your highest self talking back to you. That's the alignment of you that understands this process already because you've already learned it. Now saying, they're just giving you that little voice. Well, maybe I should try this next time. Welcome, Dee. And when you try that little thing, I bet you it works. And then the next one, because you start listening, because you start trusting yourself. So it's about asking that question to yourself and then listening for the answer. And when people are in conflict with you, if you know that you're going to react, or right now is not a space where I don't have the capacity to deal with my own struggle right now and hear yours from a place of listening, then it's okay to say that. That's a boundary, right? And that says, I'm not able to have this conversation right now, and I think we need to come back, and you can agree to come back and have that conversation when everything's calmed down. But having that space, if they respect you and they care about you, anybody, work, relationships, family, doesn't matter. If they respect you and they love you, they will absolutely say, okay, yeah, you're right. This is probably not going to end well because we're both, emotions are running high, so neither one of us are listening. So now you're fighting, when really truly it's you and that person against the problem, because the problem is the miscommunication or the boundary crossed or whatever. So that's the issue, and it's not each other. So when you start attacking each other, you're never going to get a listen, right? You're going to get someone listening to respond, which is a whole different thing. So when you can get to that space for yourself of that, and it takes practice. So the first time you do it, you're like, oh, I failed, I screwed it up. No, you didn't. You're learning, and yeah, can I do better next time? Okay, so what did I learn about that? What was it that I need to maybe try a little longer or do a little better this time? Those little questions, that just simple little thing is the thing that's going to help you heal, love yourself through it, and understand those parts of you that even maybe you're still just learning to understand. Being angry is not a bad thing. It's actually one of the most sacred things you could ever have, because it teaches you exactly what you're trying to protect. It lets you know how much you truly do care, because people don't get angry if they don't care. So when people say, I don't care and I'm mad, you know they care. They have to care. No, it doesn't matter what it is or why, what they're caring about. And maybe sometimes they don't understand all the things, but we don't get mad or upset if we don't care about something, right? And that's just the truth. So now we need to understand that obviously we care about ourselves that much, and we care about others, and we want to find that safe space. But we can't do that if we can't find the balance. So those questions are going to be really, really helpful if you can just take that moment to pause. And don't ever be mad at yourself or upset at yourself for being angry. Be like, that's wonderful. I am actually angry. Why am I angry? And ask God, universe, whoever it is you pray to, why am I so angry about this? Please help me understand. And I promise once you start listening, they're going to show up. And then, so how are we going to integrate that, right? I talk about a lot of my stories, but a lot of mine were always the same thing. And I went through a lot of abuse, gaslighting, all kinds of stuff. And I gloss over it because it's not a poor me thing. And I've never asked for some kind of pity. But in those situations, one of the most important things was the gaslighting, right? And so when you're trying to explain to somebody, you know, how this is upsetting me, why this is hurting me, and then they're like, nope, that's not it, and they switch it or turn it back on you, okay, and that's a form of gaslighting, and it's always, you're the bad guy, you're this. Well, no, how, and then you're stuck defending yourself for trying to explain your boundary, why it's not okay, and that turns into a whole cycle, and then you end up defending yourself, and then you don't even get to actually stand up for yourself, and they've just trampled all over your boundaries. And that was one of those things that I struggled with for a very long time, because I grew up with narcissistic abuse, actual abuse, all kinds of things, so it was my job to shut up and let everybody else their stuff mattered and mine didn't. So, and I know there's many out there that has gone through that. So this is not a poor me, pity me. It is just facts are facts, right? So in that situation, when you're stuck defending yourself, now you're not listening. You're not doing anything. You're just trying to explain so somebody can see and understand. Well, the problem is they've already crossed your boundaries so far and so wide in those moments that that's when you have to say, no, I'm done defending myself. I'm done trying to explain myself. Welcome, Callie. I'm just simply going to say, I wish you the best and move along. And until you get to that space where you can feel safe in your own thought process and you're not questioning your own thought process, it takes a lot of work. But once you learn that space and you say, okay, I'm not wrong. There's no part of me that is wrong for being angry with somebody telling me that what I feel doesn't matter or what I feel is beneath what they feel. We all have to think of ourselves first. I'm not saying to disregard other people or treat them badly, but if somebody is stepping on your boundaries and mistreating you or making you question your own thought process, the first thing is, are they right? Is there something that I need to be accountable for that I'm not doing properly? Okay, partially, maybe they are right. Maybe I don't know how to explain it properly. Okay, so we're going to take note of that. Now, are the way they're telling me, is that right? Are they being cruel when they're doing it? Are they even listening to what I'm saying? No. Now you have your boundary, right? That I can't do because I'm not going to go into those wars or those battles where somebody is constantly fighting you and you don't get to have those conversations. Miss Grace. So the reason I'm saying those kind of examples is because it's very easy to, then when you get angry, because most times you just don't want conflict, you're like, I'm just going to leave it alone. But then you build that resentment. Then you build that anger for yourself, which means you start less trusting yourself, and then the anger for them. And then by the time you finally say it, you've come into this big explosion. And we're not doing that anymore. And the simple way to do that is by asking those questions. So one of the ways, obviously, is journaling. But I say but as big as I can possibly say it, because I don't know about you, but when I'm angry or I'm frustrated or I have so much to say, the ability to sit there and try to write it down or type it out, you lose half of what you're trying to say or wanting to say before you can even do it, right? And then you trying to correct, overthink, or whatever what you're actually trying to say, and then you miss out on the rawness, on the most important part of it. Because it doesn't matter if your anger in that moment is right or wrong. What matters is it is there, and it's trying to tell you something. So if you try to correct it before understanding what it is, you're going to miss the whole point, and then you're going to have to keep going through it over and over and over, and we don't want to do that. So my suggestion is, if you have a little voice recorder on your phone or one of those little things, right, take it. Spew out whatever it is you got to say. Record it, okay? When you have time and you're calm, sit down, start play it, whatever, and or do voice to text, on your documents or whatever, and just say it all out. And then when you go, you're going to write it out, like you're starting to journal or whatever. By then, you're going to be able to see what you're trying to say. You're going to flow it. And then you're like, oh, and I didn't think of that and that. And when you start writing it out, it allows you to express that, and you dig deeper. So you start with the 3 sentences that you already had in your document, and you're writing it out. And now it's like, yeah, but in this instance, this happened and this happened. So you're asking your questions and you're digging deeper while you're doing it. But in that initial moment, when we're angry, let's get real. Nobody's just grabbing a pen. You can't write as fast as you want to just spew everything out. So when we respectfully think about it that way, when you record yourself in that moment, and you're not sending it to people, nobody's hearing it. When you're done and you write it out, you delete it, whatever. But it's about you getting those moments from you, because that's what that anger is trying to teach you. Welcome, Jordan. So journaling is a really great one, but just understand, if you can't write it down fast enough, don't punish yourself for it. Just record yourself and go back to it when you have a moment. But these are some of the cues that really have been helpful for me. So where can I honor my anger instead of apologizing for it? You should never have to apologize for being angry. And the only time we ever really, truly apologize for being angry is when it's already gotten to that point of explosion. And we don't want that to happen, right? So the goal is to find ways that we can validate it and understand it and see what it's teaching us before we even get there. And then what helps you find that pause before reacting? So what is it that you personally, not anybody else, we're not comparing to anyone else. If we show up a little better each day for ourselves, we're winning. We don't compare, we don't compete. It's just about us showing up better the next day. Okay, so what is it that helps you? Is it cleaning? Is it going for a walk? Is it going to the middle of the field and screaming for 2 minutes? Whatever it is that helps you, do it as much as you can, right? Find those moments and then see how you can expand that out to something that's simpler, easier, things that you can do, like maybe tapping your hand or something that just is a reminder, hey, this is okay. So you're not screaming in a bus stop or something and people giving people heart attacks. But, I mean, if you have to, you have to. So as long as we're not screaming at people or causing trauma, the idea is to find what works best for us. Welcome, Elsa. And then we have, what does your body feel like when your anger starts to rise? How are you feeling? Your breathing expands, your face gets red, your hands start to tingle. Like, there's a million different feelings. And when you can understand what that is and you feel it's your nervous system becoming dysregulated, right? And when you start to feel that immediately, you're going into survival mode is what it is. You're going into fight or flight, or freeze or fawn. I forget what the other two are. I don't really know them well, but I don't know them well because mine was fight or flight. It was always fight or flight survival. So, but I know that when that comes over you, you have all of these other feelings and everything goes into dysregulation. And from that moment, no decision you make is going to be a good one. Welcome, sweet angel. When you make a decision out of survival mode, you're thinking life and death. There's nothing else in between. And right now, this could have been just a little argument. Could be an argument with your kid, and now you're full on ready to fight your kid because your body and your brain doesn't recognize the difference, right? Survival mode is survival mode, life or death, and that's what we go to. And that's what happens when that explosion comes out. So when you can recognize those signs, that tell you, oh, my fingers are starting to tingle, oh, I'm feeling that heat rise, I know I'm starting to get angry. How do you recognize that? And when you can write that down and when you can see it and you can understand it for yourself, oh, I feel it coming, oh, what do I do, right? Immediately you recognize it and you can see it. Okay, so now I'm going to take a moment. I'm going to tap my hand. Nope, not getting me today. Deep breath, pause, we're not getting upset. Listen, don't let emotion take over. Whatever it is, but when you start recognizing it and you can use that, you're triple timing it. And then if you can affirm on top of that, saying, I am learning to understand my anger, what is happening, what brings me to this point, and how I can resolve it. On top of everything, you're triple timing it. You're already recognizing it. You're figuring out the problem and you're affirming what you're learning from it. And you're letting the universe know, I'm trying my best, and I promise you the universe is going to do its very best to make sure you overcome it. I've learned the hard way 1,000 million times, I promise. It's not until you take those steps and actually take that chance, make that change, do that little bit for yourself, show up for yourself. Let yourself know that you can trust yourself in those feelings and how you understand them. And when you get to that point, oh Lord, the way things open up for you, I can't even begin to explain to you. So, noticing especially what your body feels like is a trigger that usually will immediately sets off a fight or flight mode, survival mode. But when you recognize that, you can say, no, I am safe here and now in this moment. I am absolutely safe. Nothing's trying to harm me. There's no reason to survive, to have to survive. I am okay. And you can start calming yourself down. No, we're not doing that today. We're not going into fight or flight because a discussion or anger or small things don't require that extreme, right? And when you can learn that, your whole mindset shifts, your whole thinking process, the way you behave, it's amazing. Welcome, Scarlett and Najat. If I butcher your name respectfully, I don't mean to. And then what happens when you let yourself listen instead of defend? Now, when we're actively listening, we're not listening to respond, right? By Mala, welcome. We're not listening to respond. We're listening to hear because we have emotions, and sometimes our defense system and our fear and our anger rise up and we stop listening because we think they're trying to attack us. And there's been many times in my life personally when people have been, it's been hard because you're so used to the attack, you automatically go into defense mode. But then when there's a person that's really trying to give you constructive criticism, welcome, Landon and British, someone's trying to give you constructive criticism, but you're already shut down. You're far past that already. You're in defense mode. You're trying to justify everything. And the way to really recognize that is when you start seeing the same things kind of happen, right? Like when people that don't generally come on the attack mode to you or come at you for all these things, when those people, and then it's multiple people telling you, like, this would be really a lot better if, you just tried it this way, and you start to see a pattern. Wait a minute, this person told me that, this person over here told me that. So what is the common denominator? They're saying the same thing, and they're both having that conversation with me, or they're both, there's no conflict here. So they're obviously not doing it to attack you. They're trying to explain to you how you could better yourself, right? Welcome, Tiffany. So when we learn to listen, we can hear and we can take the emotion out of it. And sometimes things hurt our feelings, or they make us feel like we don't know everything. And guess what? We don't. It doesn't matter. There's not one person on this planet that knows everything. So, but when we learn to get curious and listen and say, okay, and sometimes there's compromise, because people want you to do things wholly this way, and you want to do it all the way that way, but neither one is working. But if you find that space in the middle, and you can find that compromise without crossing each other's boundaries. This is their line, this is your line, so how do we meet in the middle and make sure that that space is safe, right? And that's what boundaries are for. They protect both people involved, right, in any of those conversations. So when we recognize those things as safety, as creating safe spaces for ourselves and for others, then it makes it a lot easier. This is our safe space. This is our neutral zone. This is where we can have those conversations and listen and hear, actively listen, without judgment, without letting emotions get involved. Welcome, Rustlin. Okay, so one of the affirmations that I like is, I can hold sacred space for my fire. And that means when I'm feeling angry, I understand that I am absolutely right to feel that way. And in that moment when I feel that anger, now I'm absolutely right. But why am I feeling the anger? What is it trying to tell me? And when we can start affirming that and noticing that, we learn a lot. Welcome, Tom and Alfred. Sorry. Okay, so, oh yeah, I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to pull just a couple cards, because we had the discussion, and the main thing is asking the right questions, right? And remember, what helps you find that pause before reacting? Lord, that's the most important thing you can ever do, because I know people talk about it simply, but once you learn how to actually do it, I can't begin to tell you the changes that it makes in how you process things, how you understand things. And when you understand and you can say, in this moment, I'm here, I'm safe, everything is okay, and then start to hear and ask those questions and understand, you're telling your body, you're telling your brain, you're telling your nervous system, I'm safe, it's okay, conflict is okay, anger is okay. What is it trying to tell me? Once we get to that point, Lord help me, you're going to be unstoppable. Okay, can I have one self-care card? A way to show up, to help people understand in those moments of anger. Okay, at the edge of the forest, the thistles were attaching themselves to the fur of animals. What serendipity to hitch a ride to your future. Reflect upon times that someone else or an outside circumstance changed your life out of the blue. How are you transported into your future? Give thanks for these acts of serendipity that the universe provides. Welcome, Vanessa. So what it's saying is, even in those moments of anger, even in those moments, no matter what's going on, they're serendipitous. And when you look at it that way, what luck that I got that moment of anger, because I got to learn and understand that much more about myself. Now I understand what it is I don't want. I know that's my line. So how do I use that to move forward in the next step? So, but every time that person, you're going to thank them. Thank you for bringing up that anger in me. You don't have to actually say thank you to them, especially if you're in conflict. But you still speak it out into the universe. Thank that person, because that person's on their own learning journey. And to judge them or hate them or be mad at them for something that they don't even understand yet is just hindering your own journey and theirs. Welcome, Sharon and Cass. All right, and we got praise yourself for being able to praise, for waking up when you had every reason not to. Summon a dream you had that did not come to fruition. There is an opportunity gained with each one we let go. Only with darkness can we find our light. when you learn to let go of that space of someone judged me, someone did this, oh my God, they made me so angry, they crossed my boundaries. Yes, anger is there. It's meant to be learned and understand, and it's meant to be validated. We all need to be validated, but we don't need other people to do it. We need ourselves to do it. We need ourselves to understand it. The whole point of being angry and learning those moments is to understand what it means for us. What was that line that was crossed? What was that thing you're standing up for? What are you so afraid of? What is that fear? And how can we sit with that fear so we can understand it better, so that fear doesn't get to creep up and hinder us in those moments, right? So when we can start being thankful for those things, and it takes practice. So this isn't something that you're going to do that first day and be like, oh, I learned it, great, done. And sometimes there's a layer upon a layer upon a layer, especially with people, CPTSD, all those things. They come to that space, like, they're layers. Those traumas, you just piled them on and you put them back. I don't have time to deal with that shit right now. You just pile it on, pile it on, pile it on. And then when you finally blow, you don't even know what you're blowing up about. You don't even know what you're angry about. And those moments are where it's like you're angry for so many different things, and angry at yourself for blowing up, and angry at this. How do you even know? So, and it's about those times. It's about avoiding those times. It's about learning for that second to take that moment. Oh, well, that's really nice, Roy. Good job. I hope you actually do that to whoever messages you. But anyway, no, Miss Grace, not doing that. Those moments are useful. They're always going to be useful. And instead of judging yourself or punishing yourself, if you can actually take those moments and get curious, you can avoid them happening. You can integrate it into your everyday life and not allow them to be triggers. Not allow them to be something that's shameful or worried about this confrontation, because now you understand how to deal with it. And it's never going to be a wrong thing to say, no, I don't have the capacity to deal with this right now. So I'm going to walk away. And if we can have this conversation again in the future, I will do my best. But in this moment, for your and I best interest is to just walk away, right? And it's never wrong to do that. And that's your right. That's your right. And if someone doesn't respect that, then they got to go from your life. Period. Can I have a gratitude card? Something to show up in those moments of anger. Something to say, thank you, God. Thank you for this moment. Thank you for what it's teaching me. Give them some action steps. Something to use moving forward. We just want one good one. Last shuffle. That's the one. Oh, I saw you. You came right out. There you are. We have to look upon the environment with optimism. The pessimism is within us. Think of an issue in your life you felt negatively about recently and apply this lens. My challenges are my greatest teachers. I use them to learn about myself and to live more consciously and authentically. Thank you, Spirit. Those moments, there's nothing to be ashamed of. We're all learning. We're all growing. And I don't care who you are, where you come from, how much money you make, what you do for a living. Nobody on this planet, not one single human being, has all the answers. Not one. And anything that is man-made is fallible, right? Because it depends on your intention, how we see things from a different filter. It changes everything. And when we get to that point where we understand that, who else can you trust more? If you don't even know these people, how are you going to trust all them? Trust yourself first. Listen to yourself. Understand yourself. Get to know yourself in those moments, especially in angers. Because guess what? We all have that beast within us. We all have the capacity to do all kinds of crazy things given the right mixture of circumstance. And when we understand that about ourselves, that means we understand that about others. And when we understand that about ourselves, it allows us to come from a space of compassion. Wait, I'm not that person. I would never do that. Oh my goodness. But what if this happened or this happened or this happened? Holy shit. I could do that just as simply as somebody else, right? Not that evil person. Like, look what, I would do that too, so then I would be evil? No. It just allows you to show up for compassion with these people because they don't understand their triggers as much as maybe you're learning how to do it. And when we learn that, you can come from a place of compassion, not a place of judgment, not a place of hatred, a place of, okay, I had to get, how long did it take me to get to this point? How much work did I put in to get to here? So if I take that and I use that filter, knowing that someone's attacking me in some negative language or saying something horrible that I don't like, they don't know any better. Am I going to allow them to do that? No, I'm going to say, obviously I'm not okay with that. You've crossed my boundaries. I'm going to walk away. Because we get to be the adult in the situation. We get to be that adult that our child so desperately needed when we were kids, right? So when we can learn that for ourselves, it allows us to have compassion for all those people that don't know better yet. Doesn't mean we allow them to keep doing it. It just means if I know I could do that just as easily as they're doing right now, I know I have. Maybe years before I have, right? So you can look at them and be like, yeah, they're not there yet. And that's okay, because they're on their own journey, and the universe is going to let them learn however they have to learn. It's not our job to try and force somebody into learning something. It's our job to control our own self and do what we can to teach our own self. And that's it. Okay, can I have a Beyond Lemuria for, I need an oracle, words of wisdom, things we can do in those moments of anger. Trust your innocence. I love when Spirit confirms my messages. Oh, and by the way, so anyone that misses the live, if you come in and you're like, oh, that kind of piqued my interest and I'd like to know more, usually about within an hour or so after the live, I post it on my YouTube at Creativity Guides Me. So you can go there and you can always catch the replays, even for my action steps every month. There's going to be a lot of content like this coming out over the next 3 months. I've put a lot of work, a lot of research, and a lot of ways to kind of explain it in a better manner because I didn't get to learn so nicely and so easily. I had to go all over the place. I had to back and forth. Oh, Lord, when I tell you, just a disaster. And not everybody learns in a linear fashion, so more people are probably aligned with the back and forth all over the place than I might even understand. But I've tried to compile it into ways that are simple and digestible and just about getting curious. And if you take those moments and you just try it and you find it's a little bit easier this time and you try it again, you're going to see that it works. I'm giving you all the answers. You just have to try it, right? And I can't tell you everything that works for you, but I can tell you that if you ask those questions and you just sit and you listen for your own answers, I promise you it's going to make a difference. Okay, so in those moments of anger, those moments you're trying to understand, do you see what that says? Trust your innocence. By the way, the artwork, this lady is just phenomenal. Love this entire deck. And there's so much words of wisdom here. That's why I like to always have them. 54. Also, angel number 54. Usually when these come up, those numbers are a message all on their own. 9, if you break it down, 9, which is natural endings, means endings from, you've learned everything you need to learn from that cycle. Now the next cycle you're going into, the new beginning, you're going to take that and leave the rest, right? Welcome, Kunal. Okay, so in those moments of anger, those moments where you're trying to ask and understand, this is the answer. Trust your innocence. It can be hard to decipher between intuition and what our mind is telling us. Stories, projections, expectations, or fear can arise under the guise of intuition. To distinguish truthful inner guidance from paranoia, we must return to innocence, to our purest essence. Here we have access to the truth of our being. What were the very first feelings or visions you had when you considered the question at hand, before you second-guessed yourself? How does it feel in your body when you are brutally honest with yourself? Try to go beyond the layers of what you have been taught to believe about yourself. When some of the logic falls away, what answers remain? When you ask a young child a question, they don't censor their answers. Their honesty may not be considered polite or socialized. It may even seem a bit funny, but it's their truth, and it's interesting to note how intuitive children naturally are. Facts. To tell the difference between intuition and mind chatter, you need to recognize a clear, instinctive yes and a distinctive no. That's those questions I keep talking about. For this, you must trust yourself. The foundation of self-trust is honesty. You must be completely honest with yourself about what feels good, true, and real to you, and what does not. Honesty is more than not lying to yourself. It's also about not withholding information. It's about having deep transparency within yourself. Some might describe their intuitive yes as a softening rather than a feeling of tightening, contracting, or avoidance. If we are to stay on our optimal path, trusting our original innocence or instincts is key. And then we have learn to trust your inner sense or intuition. You are encouraged to be absolutely honest with yourself. Cast aside any mind stories and shoulds that you tell yourself. In your heart of hearts, you know the answers. Dare to listen and to honor them. This card may also relate to being truthful with another person. Relationships can only deepen when we can be real with each other. Consider your timing and be considerate, but this is a time for truths. I don't know, but if you have to ask somebody else and not Jake, then you're already failing the communication. So, and I don't know who they are. I don't get into other people's energies. If Jake's here and wants you to tell me, then I have no problem doing that. I am not a reader that bumps into people's energies. I talk about ways we process things so we can heal, so we can trust our own answers. So you could answer your own self with the way you're being treated, with the way he looks at you, talks to you, the way you guys communicate. That's what you need to trust. No tarot reader should be able to tell you how someone feels about you. And if you have to trust a tarot reader about how someone feels about you, then the communication channel is not going well, and it's not a good thing. I should not be able to tell you how someone else feels about you. First, you need to know how much you feel about yourself. And if you love yourself enough and you have to question what they are, then you need to speak. I shouldn't feel like I have to question how you feel about me. And if I feel like I have to ask that question, then we're not communicating well enough, and that needs to change. And then if he's not willing to change, he's let you know. And if he is, then there's a chance, right? Don't ever ask or trust somebody else on how someone else feels about you. If you want to know, use your words or learn to trust your inner voice, because truly that's the only way you're going to get somewhere. And ask from a space of love, not judgment. Just ask from curiosity, but ask yourself, how do you feel around him? How does he make you feel? Ooh, that was an ear ringer. That's important. I think you know the answer. You just have to listen for it. All right, can I have a Starseed Oracle? Something to help my people when they're angry. Focus, listen. What do we got? We got Double Mission and Star Keeper. You got two. Sorry, guys. Welcome, Top Dog and Cassia. And I know this one's going to be a little... Oh, no, it's only been about an hour, so we're not too far off. All right. Lightworker Starseeds are mission and purpose oriented. Many have the feeling that time's running out and there's something they came here to do, create, or contribute. They're here to grow as souls individually, individual mission, and also to contribute to the planet in some action-oriented way, collective mission. Their collective mission is often answered through a career, calling, or by devoting their life to something bigger. Until they remember their collective mission, it can feel as if something's missing or that they're forgetting something important. It's common for lightworker starseeds to feel that they're different, and they may carry soul memories of being visible or sharing their voice. As such, they may protect themselves by dimming their light in order to fit in, or by spending time in some sort of closet, such as a spiritual closet. If you pull this card, you're being called to remember your collective mission, to step into it even more fully. You're being reminded that your role as a light worker is to light up the world with your presence. This doesn't have to be a great big thing or a decision you need to make. You also don't need to have a great big plan. If you resonate with being a light worker, all you need to do is work out what lights you up, your passions and your joys, and keep doing that. When you trust and follow the simple path of things that light you up, and then lose yourself in the doing, you'll light up the world without even trying. Hi, Top Dog. How are you? Welcome, PKC. So the reason I'm talking about this part, and I pull these cards at the end, is because I talk about the action steps, and I talk about the questions that we ask ourselves, which is most importantly. But there's also this point where we need to learn how to love ourselves through it. And we need to understand why these things are coming up and why we're trying to heal them and how we can use them to help motivate others. So I talk about this stuff all the time because I've had to do it. I've had to do the hard work. So many times I thought I was going to choke, I'm telling you. And those stupid things that you get stuck on, and yeah, I say stupid because it's frustrating, and I get it, and I've done it 500,000 times. That may be a slight, but not that far off exaggeration, okay? When I say a million baby steps, I mean it. Welcome, Rachel. So in those moments, asking those questions, getting curious, these are the ones that I know are tried and true. And those are the ones that I know that I come back to every single time. So and then I learned, if I'm getting stuck on this all the time, I cannot be the only human being on the planet that now is getting stuck on it. I cannot be the only human being on the planet that is getting frustrated every single time when this happens, and I'm feeling this shame, this deep shame, and this emotion about myself where I'm such a bad person, where I'm not. Why would I feel horrible for being angry when everybody gets angry sometimes, and there's a reason? So I had to learn what it was, and to do that, these are the things that I did, that I actually had to do. And I'm only sharing them because I know that they can work, right? And it's up to you, your devotion on want to do it. You're almost done. You're doing really good. I got maybe 10 more minutes, okay?
Then we can go to the park?
Then we can go to the park. Yep, you're doing so good, and I'm proud of you. Can you sit down and let me finish?
Can I go play in my room?
You can go play in your room, absolutely.
You mean will I wait?
While you wait, 10 more minutes. Thank you, bud.
My toys?
Sorry, it's Saturday. It's Peacekeeping Day. This should have been on a weekday, but as the pattern goes, it happened to be on a Saturday. So I had to make a deal with my daughter. She had to give me 1 hour to do this, and then we can go to the park and stuff. So, and because I wanted to make sure that I stayed committed to the time that I wanted to do this. So, welcome, Emoke and JDL's dad. Welcome. Okay. So then we have the Star Keeper, and this one is, you're an ancient keeper of the stars, here to anchor and seed your light in your unique way. You've likely been incarnating on Earth for some time, dedicated to an era of awakening and bringing about a long-awaited shift in the planet's evolution. We're at a tipping point now. The survival of Earth and its species are coming to a head. The more grounded you remain during this transitional period, the more helpful you'll be. The more you tend to the flames of your own heart, the more love you'll anchor into this planet. The wisdom of the stars is imprinted on your soul. The more soul fragments you call home, the more this wisdom is seated here. You may be called to be in different places in the world, to anchor this light. Perhaps by taking a trip or living in a certain location, you may also find yourself experiencing awakening symptoms. Sorry, I'm learning how to read today. The more grounded you remain, the more stable Earth's energy will become, and the less reactive humanity will be. You're here for a double mission, to grow as an individual and as part of a larger collective that's bringing about a shift in frequency. Trust that you can be in the world, but not of it, and lead a truly glorious life. I acknowledge that I am a star keeper. I choose to anchor my light and stay as grounded as possible. And that's what it is. When you become angry and frustrated and all those things, it automatically takes you out of your grounding, takes you out of alignment. And there's going to be a million things in this world that are going to always take you out of alignment. The biggest thing that I can teach you is how to come back to that center, how to come back to that grounding and that alignment. And you may have to do it 100 times a day. But there comes a point where it becomes so much more natural and so much easier to do, that those things that would trigger you to absolute explosion, now you're like, that's kind of interesting, and it doesn't even faze you anymore, because you've learned how to understand, wait, yeah, they may be right in a little thing, because each and every person that we encounter is a mirror of our own self. And even if they're doing something 10,000 times worse than we think we ever could, it's meant so we see it, so we can understand it. Oh, okay, what's that mirror trying to show me? Why is that person making me angry? Why is that frustrating me? What is it that this is trying to teach me? And when we get to that space, when I tell you, and you can immediately turn that anger into curiosity, and it will take practice, but when you can get to that point, holy hell, I don't even think you understand the amount of opportunities, the amount of ideas, the amount of creativity, the ways to channel that and use that to your best benefit is just amazing. I took a lot of that learning, and I created my 60 days of gratitude and I am in gratitude, which is a guided journal, which just kind of helps. You can go on my website. Where's my thing? You can go on my website and check it out if you want. You don't have to, but I also have my stories that talk about the anger and stuff, which is more of a reflection, but a story of my journey. I'm just going to hold that. And if you see anything with this logo, this is my logo for my website. And you know that it's going to be healing content, things like that, because that's what I care about. I'm trying to plant seeds and just get people curious, because if we can get a little bit more curiosity, we can get a little less anger, a little less freak out, a little more compassion for others. Welcome, Aaliyah. I'm just trying to spread it out a little bit, make people see that they're not the only ones. And when you start to understand that it's not just you, and you start having compassion for you, you start seeing other people, and you're like, oh, that was me too, and then you be immediately thankful. I came so far. Thank you for showing me what I used to be, so I can celebrate how far I've come. And in that same moment, thank you for showing me that I need to just show this person a little bit more compassion, because this person is just me, a little bit earlier on. Needed just somebody to understand they weren't trying to create this big headache. They were just trying to be seen and understood and understand themselves. And when we get to that point, that ripple of love and compassion and integrity and honesty and authenticity just doesn't stop rippling. It just gets passed on. That pay it forward theory is the same way with compassion, with love. When it starts with ourselves, we start automatically, inherently giving it out to others, because we understand it just a little bit better, okay? And then it says you're already doing it. See, that's my whole point. Once you start doing it, you're already doing it. You give it to yourself, you automatically start giving it out. It's not even like breathing. It's just like breathing, right? Okay, let me find that page. Give me a second. My reading abilities today could be... But we do it messy. It doesn't matter. I learned when we start judging it and judging ourselves, then we make it a little bit more difficult on ourselves, and we don't want to do that. Where is that one? It's just hiding. So that means when I find this, the angel number is important. If it makes me look that hard, then it means we need, angel number 30. So 3, that is alignment. Oh, I got you. Alignment, coming back to that center. That makes so much sense. Okay. Stop overthinking and keep facing your true north. Do not question things so much. You are on the right track. You are facing the right way. Stop overthinking it. It's happening. And you are closer than you think. You are exactly where you need to be, and things are moving at the perfect speed. The reason I'm saying this right now is when you take those moments and you're questioning yourself, you don't question other people's intentions. It's not your business. You'll be stuck on that cycle forever. Don't do it to yourself. Okay, but when you can ask yourself, without judgment, just asking, what am I trying to say? What is this trying to tell me? Welcome, Roxy. You're already doing the things you're supposed to be doing. So that means you're exactly where you need to be. You shouldn't be any farther behind or any farther ahead. And whoever it is that upset you or whatever happened, they're exactly where they need to be. They're learning in their own time. We can't hold that expectation for someone else. Only us and our own selves and our own responses are what matter. And it's 11:11 on the clock. Thank you, Spirit. Okay, so do not rush it. Now is not the time to be impatient. Now is the time to walk steady. There is no rush. What you are building is being built. What you have planted soon will blossom. With every new day, a new brick is being laid. You have come a long way. The foundations are steady. Now all that is needed is for you to trust and keep walking forward. If a thought that things should be moving faster enters your head, that is just your ego comparing your rising to someone else. Comparison is not your friend. Stay in your lane, water your own garden, knowing that your time to bloom will come soon. Welcome, Ian. You are already doing it. Keep going. So what it means is at that moment you show up for yourself. That moment you get curious and you ask yourself these questions, What helps you find that pause before reacting? So at the moment you ask yourself that, you're already doing the right things. That means the answer is going to come because you're smart enough and you cared enough about yourself and others, but first and foremost yourself, to get curious and ask those questions. And in those moments, those small little moments, where you could have just said, screw it, and blew up and not give a shit who's around or who's going to get hurt, you didn't. You chose yourself, and you chose to understand and get curious. So that means you've already showed up, and you're doing the right thing, and that the universe is going to show you, and it's going to answer you, and it's going to help you find those ways to make you stronger and be better. Welcome, Raquel. Okay, I have only a couple more. Now, this is just a card pulling part at the end. If you missed the beginning and you find anything intriguing and you think that it may be helpful in the moments of anger, there might be something that you can learn or some ideas or processes. I always post a replay on my YouTube at Creativity Guides Me. Welcome, Saunderson and Tracy. So feel free to go follow me on there, and usually within an hour or so after I do the lives, I post them up there for anyone that wants to go back. And we said, don't let pride get in the way. That's right. This is really important. So when you are asking those questions of anger, ego can come right in there and say, nope, that's not right. Nope, what I'm saying is right, whatever. And there are many times that probably a lot of what you're saying is right. But you got to get to the core of that. Because there's always going to be that nagging feeling that something's not sitting right. And until you can get to that core, you're not going to be able to fix it, integrate it, or love yourself through it, right? And then nothing is yet set in stone. So hold on. The full moon in Leo, and for all my Leos, you know what I'm talking about. When we get mad, we roar. But we have to learn that's not the best way. Full moon in Leo, 76. Angel number 76, look that up too. That is always, it boils down to a 5, which is, holy hell, which is transformation too, right? So it boils down to so many different things, but when we can take everything down to its core and sit with that and learn and understand that, we are absolutely slaying our own self. We're becoming masters of our own self, and in turn being leaders to help other people master those same things. Okay, we shouldn't be sitting on this. We shouldn't be gatekeeping these things. We should be sharing it far and wide, because this world would change so much more drastically if we just could get people to just get curious. It's not even about judgment, it's just about getting curious. Welcome, Kathy. Have you been letting your pride become an obstacle? Is the question you're being, holy Lord, I cannot read today. Is the question you're asking based on your ego, or is it from your heart? Leo energy is all about the heart. Think of the big-hearted king of the jungle, the lion. Its energy is magnificent, but when it's combined with the rush of the full moon, it can become over the top. This card may have come to you because you need to end a deadlock that has developed. More love and thoughts for the greater good are the solution to this dilemma. Right. Sometimes we have to take ourselves out of the situation. Our ego, that pride, that moment. And trust me, I'm a Leo. I know all about pride and all those things and ego. But when you take that out of the situation and say, what is it that I'm trying to learn? Welcome, ABC and Dima and Ava. When you can take that ego out and say, what is it that I'm trying to learn? What am I trying to understand? What are they trying to tell me? First, listen to yourself. But once you get to that point, what am I trying to understand? Then you can listen from a space of love and in actual hearing. And what are they trying to tell me, right? Welcome back, Nervous Raccoon. So this card may have come to you because you need to end a deadlock that has developed. More love and thoughts for the greater good are the solutions to this dilemma. If you've not been doing this as you would have done by doing as you would be done by, as in do unto others as you'd have done unto you, right? This is the time to find a balance between your own needs and the needs of the people around you. This will help all your relationships. Be magnificent without being plain too much. Self-esteem is good, vanity is not. Everyone is equally important, amen. Creative urges should be followed. Work some magic. A friendship may be ending now. That could happen, but it's only going to happen if you can't find that compromise, right? But it takes two, so you need to remember that too. It takes two. If you don't, if only one is willing, it will never work, right? You have to have, it takes two. When the full moon comes into in Leo, it can be a wonderfully bright time where people feel more confident to show the world their talents and assets. That's the upside of this lunation and of this card, no matter when you pull it. However, take note that the Leo full moon combination creates a sort of tension between your needs and the needs of people in your networks. Leo full moon is a time to release pride. When we come back from that place of ego, and we can find that space of compromise and find that space of understanding and compassion for ourselves, then obviously it's automatically going to go out to everyone else, right? Welcome back, Vars. Welcome, Slingshot. And then we have nothing is yet set in stone. Mutable moon. Where are you at? I forgot to look at the other one. 108, which is 9. Yeah, that's endings. 108, which is the whole point. We're trying to end our selfish pride and look at ourselves from a space of no ego, and ask ourselves those questions. What helps you find that pause before reacting? What does your body feel like when the anger starts to rise? When we recognize that, we can actually change things in ourselves and others. Welcome, Air Custom. All right, so we have nothing is yet set in stone. Mutable is all about change, shape-shifting even. That something is still developing. This card indicates that something is indeed changing and there's room for maneuver. So take it as a sign that the situation you're asking about is far from finalized. If you're not happy with the current state of play, that's marvelous. It means you can still change the course of the outcome. However, there is also a sense that the situation could perhaps be a little unstable. I'm not done yet. You got to give me a minute and I will come see it. For some, this is great news because you can still influence it. Others will struggle with the uncertainty, but should stay with it a little longer. Either way, nothing is yet set in stone. Welcome, Ben. I know the best will unfold for me. You're meandering towards your goal, and that's okay. Doesn't matter how slow or fast you get there. And usually if you rush it, you're going to miss a lot, and then it's going to pull you back, and you're going to have to go and start all over. And we don't want to do that, right? So don't rush yourself. Just understand and try to take in and get curious and understand all of the questions. Sit with them. Because when you can understand them, that means you know you better than anybody in this whole entire world. And that means when a question comes, when anger comes, when a decision has to be made, who are you going to trust most to make that decision? Obviously you, because you know yourself, you know your actions, you know your triggers, you know all those things. And that's what we're trying to get to. Because when you can trust yourself in those moments, that decide to walk away, that decision, you don't second guess it. You don't turn back, but what if, it doesn't matter. I did this, I know I did this, and I know how I behave. So if I gave this direction, I'm done, this is my boundary, I don't want it to be crossed, and then I gave this chance, and then I responded again, and I gave that opportunity, and they still didn't make that decision, then when you know you said enough and you walked away, you know that you 100% did it on your own terms, and you did it rightfully so, not out of anger, not out of malice, because I deserve better, and I'm not going to put up with it. And when you get to that space, you know that everything you do is going to be for the highest, best good of you, which in turn will be the highest, best good of all, right? So just make sure you're not being led astray. Don't let other people gaslight you or confuse you or tell you that what you're feeling isn't right. If something doesn't feel right, and you can get down to that question and you can say why, and get to that core reason and understand that, and then what someone else says to you doesn't make sense, you don't have to listen to it. You can just say, nope, I've been through that process. And I'm going to leave you to think what you need to think. That's your lesson to learn. But I've already learned that. Thank you. And I'm just going to move along. And that's what I would do. That's my own perspective. And I'm sure people do it differently. But it's never out of malice. It's never out of anger. It's just, I've been there, done that. And I don't want to do it again. And I wish you the best, right? In astrology, there are 3 so-called quadruplicities. Ooh. Cardinal, fixed, and mutable. The mutable signs are Gemini, Sagittarius, Virgo, and Pisces. And when the moon is in one of these signs, you know there's going to be more flexibility in a situation. Anytime you pull this card, it suggests that there's the opportunity to keep visualizing and affirming what you want, as there's still room for change. So think about what you want and enjoy the daydream. And how do you know what you want if you can't understand the things you don't want, right? And that's what anger is trying to teach you. Exactly what you don't want, exactly what brings you fear, exactly how to overcome and integrate that and love yourself through it. And then when you get to that point, sorry, I'm trying to grab this box. When you get to that point, you can really begin to understand your own ideas. And then once you learn how to integrate it, the creativity and the ideas that come your way to help explain, understand, process, help others process it is just beyond. Can I have one creativity oracle to help them in times of anger, ways to use it to their best benefit, and to get curious how we can help ourselves move forward in the best way. I said 1. Habits, generosity, and limits. Okay, they are all makes sense. Okay, fine. I said 1, but spirit. Okay. Oh, 6, not 3. All right. I'm going to show the pictures because examine habits that may impede the pathways to your goals and encourage beneficial ones. Right, that's what I'm saying. We want to ask those questions, right? So the habits card is an indication that you should look at your habits and or those of any other person involved in your situation to see if you are dealing with habits that heal or habits that harm your goal. We all evolve habits to help us deal with daily life, especially with its challenges. Thinking of oneself as a creative person or an artist is a good habit to cultivate. Habitually criticizing yourself and your work or others and their work is not and works against your best interests. This card can be a reminder to look at your work habits, what is currently called your workflow, to see if you are using best practices to bring your ideas into reality. Sorry, I couldn't read. Today my reading is not the greatest. That's why they're giving me more to read, apparently. You're not doing well at it, we're going to make you do well. And then generosity. You can afford to be generous with the gift of your time and attention. And then also that's angel number 36, and there's always another message there if you go look it up. Welcome, Horizontal. The generosity card is an indication that you will be the recipient of generosity from another person or an organization who supports creativity. It can also be a reminder to you to be generous to someone who needs your help. For some questions, the generosity card is a reminder not to be cheap. You would do well to avoid letting costs associated with the manifesting of your creative plan stop you from realizing it in the best possible way. Living within your means is very important. If you have the means, then do not let worry about budget become an obstacle. This card can also mean that you should share your resources with one or more people, or that someone will be generous to you. You may find that the act of being generous, added to the interactions you will experience with the beneficiaries of your generosity, will improve your own work significantly. So what it's saying is, when you understand yourself and you can get to that point and you understand your habits and you're creating better ones, each and every time you do that, you're learning your own boundaries, you're learning how to manifest from that point, and then those people and places that come in are going to be people that want to support you, that want to help you share those ideas. They also help you learn how to explain them. They come and they help you with questions and understanding, and trust me, those people are give and take. It's not that there's an expectation, but when they're coming in because they want to see you win, okay? And just like you want to see them win, and it's mutual. And when you start finding those people, you can then trust the things they say. And you already trust yourself, so you're going to know when they come in, they're going to come in strong and they're going to come in solid, and you're going to know that they want to help you. And that's the best thing you can ever do. And when you're in that space that you can give, whether it's lessons, time, money, whatever it is you can give, and you're giving from that space, whether you take it or not, that's not what it's there for. It's there for you to come and take if you need it, or leave it be. That's your choice. But when you give without that expectation, you're giving from a place of overflow. And that's what they're trying to say. Showing up and doing these things and doing that stuff for yourself, showing up, understanding your anger, integrating it, validating it, understanding it so it doesn't turn into explosion, allows you that space. Now you've showed up for yourself, your cup is full, and you're coming from that place of overflow. So anything you give out, when I come and do these, I don't come asking for gifts and share and do all those things. I don't do that because that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to plant seeds. I'm here to help you just get curious. And if you can do that, if you can't, you're not ready, and that's fine. And you'll come back maybe a year later or whatever, and you'll find my stuff and you'll be like, oh yeah, she was right. And that's good. That's good because it's there and you know where to find it. And that's all my job is, right? Welcome, Sonia, and Free the Demons, and Dima, welcome. And then we have limits, okay? Did I find it yet? Yeah. Know that limiting attitudes are often formed as protective reactions to past events, which is how anger pops up. Which comes out of fear, which, by the way, tomorrow is when that one starts. So fear is a mirror will be the next one coming up. This whole Fire and Flow is a 10 content series, but it talks about that whole circle and how we can question and guide ourselves back into that beautiful space of I know me, I love me, and I understand me. And in turn, I'm going to love the world. But we're not shaming ourselves or being angry for rage or fear. We're learning what they are and how to understand them. So instead of explosion and doing stupid things out of survival mode, we can say, hey, wait, I'm angry and I have a right to be angry. And how am I going to understand that? What questions am I asking myself where I can get those answers so I can understand that? So now I have compassion for myself, and in turn, I'm sharing that compassion out to others. Which, by the way, in turn, will come back to you every single time because that's what you're giving out, right? Welcome, Missy. All right, so the limits card is an indication to ground your dream in reality. because limits are part of life and of everyone's creative process too. This card is a reminder that being aware of your own limitations, of those of other people, and of the resources we have to accomplish our goals is a crucial part of living life creatively. The common denominator of human caused suffering is poor decision making. A common cause of poor decision making is failing to take into account reality and the limits it imposes on your situation. The creative approach is to be limitless in allowing your imagination to inform and inspire you, and then allow the limits of the situation to help you define and shape your method to build up or otherwise influence the physical characteristics of a creative project. Right? So when you understand that when you understand yourself and those things that make you angry and those boundaries that you set to protect yourself and to protect others, those limits are your bottom line. They're not your top, they're your bottom line. That's your no. That's my line in the sand you cannot cross. And when you learn that, just because you have a boundary, you don't want this line crossed, that's your bottom line. There's no limit up top. You can go as high and as far as you want once you understand and you learn how to integrate all this into your system. And the only way you're going to do that is to get curious without judgment. And when you place judgment on other people because, oh, well, I learned this, how come they don't know that? It's because they're not ready to learn yet, or they haven't been to that space yet, or they haven't had the opportunity. But have you ever heard that saying, when the students are ready, the teacher will appear? And that's kind of what's happening these days. Okay, most of the stuff was gatekept. Most of the stuff, you had to pay money, all kinds of money to learn these simple questions. These simple questions, you pay for therapists, and you pay for this, and you pay for that. And nobody understood that the only way you're truly going to fix anything is to get curious and ask those questions. But you have to be brave, and you got to sit with that messy answer, and you're going to sit with that yucky answer, because we all have trauma, and we all have struggles, and when we get to that point, we're not judging somebody else. We understand that their struggle may be a little bit different than ours, and we don't know how to understand it. But we know what we learned, and we knew how to protect ourselves in those moments, to be the calm person, to be the adult that our child needed when we were growing up. You know, our inner child needed that, and now we have the ability to do that and be that that person for those people in life, right? And those people are just us. They're just us before we learn those things. So when we show that compassion for ourselves, obviously we're going to start showing it out into the world. And that's the most important thing that I can share of my journey each time I do this, is how to bring it back full circle. So like, you may read this right now and be watching this and be like, well, I kind of get it, but not really. And because there's an entire layers and layers and layers. And once you ask that question, whatever it is, well, that question's usually going to boil down to a fear, which, by the way, that's the next 3-day cycle, right? Will be fear. Fear is a mirror, right? So when we boil that question down and we get to that fear and we understand what that's trying to teach us, now we know how to get to the answer every single time. And sometimes it's gross. Sometimes the answer is messy and you're going to cry and you're going to snot and you're going to be just a blubbering mess. And that's okay. Because once you sit with it and you validate it and you understand it, you can't unsee it. You can't not understand it anymore. And you can't not know how to get to the answer, to the core of the issue every single time once you do it. So what I'm trying to share here is just methods that are really simple. They're without judgment. They're without shame. Don't ever feel shame for trying to understand the answers and trying to make yourself better. And if you fail this time, by the way, there's no failure. But if you don't do it perfectly this time, the next time you're going to do it a little better. And you're going to understand that. And we have to be accountable for our own selves. But we should never feel shame. Never feel shame. Especially if something you didn't do. If something happened to you, never feel shame for that. You didn't do anything wrong. But you still have to heal it, right? And it's our job to heal it. And it is a messy process. And it's gross and it's yucky. And it's even worse when you don't have help and you have to do it yourself. So these little things are just ways that I had to do it by myself with no help. And I'm trying to make it a little bit easier and a little bit more bite-sized and digestible. So if you just get curious, it's okay to sit there and cry or do what you have to do. But if you can get curious and you can come to that answer and ask that question, and each time come down to the core of it and love yourself in that core, in that yucky grossness, that anger, that shame, that humiliation, that all those things that you're feeling for just being angry for something that happened to you or something that crossed, right? But now you're understanding what it teaches you, and then in those moments you can absolutely understand, I'm safe here, I'm safe now, and even if my boundary was crossed, and even if they disrespected me, and even if they did whatever the thing they did that made me upset, I now know how to understand it because it triggered something in me. And if it triggered me to anger, there's a reason for it. And it usually boils down to a fear. And when we get to that space that we can understand that and understand what fear it is, we can sit with it and we can hug ourselves through it, and we can understand why that fear is not necessary. It's not real. False evidence appearing real, right? And when we can sit with that and understand that, we create our own safe space. And from that space, that compassion for ourselves, we give it out to others. It's a cycle. And when we learn to dig deep and find that space, every single time we know how to get back there and get back there and get back there and find the answer, that method will never not work. Do you understand what I'm saying? Once you can understand that for yourself, it will never not work. 2222, feminine forces. Relationships, harmony, prosperity, collaboration, patience, humility, support, and connection. While you have the strength to accomplish everything on your own, life is meant to be shared. Partner with the right spirit, and together you'll become an unstoppable force. Honor your commitments and value the people around you. Avoid judgment and focus on listening to build meaningful connections. That's all we're trying to do, right? And you can't build meaningful connections if you don't understand what it is that you're trying to connect, or if you don't even understand yourself. And it takes a little bit of work, but I promise you, the people that you're going to align with, the people that will start showing up in your life, the people that you release, and it's not even in a negative way. You're releasing them because they have to learn their own journey. And if you don't release them, you're going to end up enabling them and hindering theirs. And you don't want to do that either, right? We all have to learn in our own time. That's why the people that show up for me, they show up in this time because they're ready for it. That's it, right? How many years did we not do this or not hear this or not know this? We weren't ready. We're ready now, and that's what matters. So that was 2222. So you start seeing that number everywhere. That's when, remember, that's the universe showing up. That's your angels saying, we see you, we hear you. Think about what you're thinking at the time. Think about what's going on around you. Just pay attention because those numbers matter, and it's just letting you know you're loved, you're enough, and you matter, okay? Welcome, Kings. And then we got 1122. Usually I only do one, but two came out, so it's important. Someone's going to be seeing 1122. Great shift. Transformation, spiritual awakening, manifestation, unity, alignment, fulfillment, and expansion. First, acknowledge the positive changes unfolding as a result of your hard work. Then, open your mind to new possibilities and follow yourself and allow yourself to explore new avenues. Many positive shifts are on the horizon. The world around you is aligning with your intentions, supporting your growth and dreams. And that's what happens. When you can understand your own space, understand your own self, how you got there, what made you angry, how to validate yourself, protect yourself, respect yourself, and honor those around you, there's nothing you can't do. Learning, once you master yourself and your own understanding of you and what you're trying to accomplish and what you want, which is, by the way, ever changing, because as we learn and grow, things will change. But the core will stay the same. The core missions, the core love, the core ethics, the core, that's you. That's your most authentic you. That's going to stay the same. You're going to apply that to everything you learn and everything you do. And in turn, that's going to change your perspective. It's going to change how you look at things. It's going to change your filter, your perspective, right? So don't ever stay stuck in just one thing. And in anything, literally anything and everything you do, just get curious. Just ask the questions, what helps me find that pause? What does my body feel like when I'm getting angry? What is something that I can notice right away so I can make that attempt to stop it and say, no, angry or not, why am I feeling angry? But here I'm safe, I'm okay, I'm allowed to feel this emotion. And watch how the feelings in your body change. Watch how everything calms down and you can start understanding, like, I'm going into fight or flight. I'm not going to make a good decision from there. So how can I bring myself back to that center? How can I get curious, right? Ask questions. Ask yourself. Don't be scared to do it. Just ask yourself the questions, right? What fire is ready to be transmuted? What is it that I can transmute and turn that into gold, pure gold? Take all that negativity and turn it into bricks of gold and you're building your castle, right? And then we have what needs forgiveness. From me, what do I need to forgive myself for? What can I forgive others for? Right? It's so simple. When you ask these questions, I'm telling you, you have to start with yourself. Always start with yourself and then spread out from there. And in the end, the way things start coming back to you, it's just going to blow your mind. The love and the joy and the sense of peace. When you move forward and you make decisions, you're not questioning them. You're not questioning how you feel. You're not questioning those things because you know, I've been through the fire 1,000 times. I've been through it. And I know that when I make that step, I'm making the right decision. You come from that space because you know you've already asked the questions. You know you've already sat with it. You've understood it. You've got down to the core of it. And if there's still something more to learn, trust me, the universe is going to send it to you and say, hey, you still got to kind of learn this. And that's when you have to start asking those questions. What is it I need to learn? What is it I need to understand? I promise you the universe is going to show you. I promise. All right. And then what's the next step that brings peace? We want to just ask. How can I find that space? How can I find that compromise? Is there something that I need to compromise? Or is this something that I have absolute every right to say no? And that's my preference, and that's my boundary, and that's my bottom line, and I am allowed to say no to that. You know, get curious. Am I being unreasonable? Do I have a right to be unreasonable? Is this something that, if that's my bottom line, and you don't get to say yes or no, that's my bottom line, just like you have your bottom line. And when you ask those questions, you become more sure of what it is that you need, want, and why you're angry. And then you can, in turn, you show that compassion to yourself, right? So some of the affirmations that I use, I just shuffled a couple, and I live on these affirmations cards. Because in those moments, the first one that came up, and I love this, is I breathe calmly and easily. I am safe in this moment. This affirmation can save your life. Literally can save your life. I have been in some pretty down and out situations. I've been in some pretty scary life and death situations. And nope, I'm not done yet. Almost. You have to be patient. This affirmation can take you from ready to jump off a building to save your life to what am I doing in this moment? I am safe. It doesn't matter. Somebody said something to hurt my feelings. So what if it hurt my feelings? We'll deal with that after. I'm safe. I'm telling you, these affirmations, when you can speak them into existence, you calm. There's nothing in this world that's going to calm your nervous system, your heart, your mind, than your own voice. Your own voice telling you that you're safe and you're okay at 11:44 on the clock. There's nothing, not one thing on this planet that's going to do that because you know. And the more you get to know you, the more you're going to trust you. I can't convince you, but you can convince you. And when you start understanding it, you're going to learn it and you're going to trust it. I promise. I breathe calmly and easily. I am safe in this moment. No matter what happens, find that moment, come to that moment, and it's life-saving. I am ready to go big, rise up, and step into my power. And when you get to this space, that's when you can ask those questions because you're ready to deal with it. You're ready to hear it. You're ready to get curious, and you're ready to listen for the answer. I'm pulling up my big boy pants, right? You know, we put on our pants and we say, nope, I'm going to do this. And asking these questions might give me answers I don't like. But if I get those answers and I can sit with them and understand them, I can love myself through them, and I can change how I behave in those situations. I can't change how others behave, but I can change how I behave, and that's really important. And then I am committed to bringing forth my greatness. I will no longer play small. When you step up and you make that commitment to yourself, that small little commitment to just get curious and ask those questions. What is it that makes me angry? What is it trying to teach me? All of these very, very simple questions, right? What next steps bring peace? How do I get to that place of peace, in that place of confusion, anger, fear, shame? Because all of those things start piling on. And before we're already buried in the mud and we don't know what happened. And then when we finally explode, everyone around us suffers. And then we feel shame and humiliation for that too. If we can get to that point where we're asking these simple questions, what is trying to teach us, then we can trust in ourselves more than anything else in this world. And I promise you, Spirit, God, whoever it is you talk to, okay, is that thing above us all, but it's actually just within us. That's it. We're co-creators with the universe. You know, everyone points up to heaven or whatever. Call it what you want. But the bottom line is, you know, that thing that grows the trees, that keeps the insects flowing, that keeps the grass growing, the water, you know, that force is also, we call it outside of us, it's also inside of us. And when we learn to control it and understand it, we actually begin co-creating, and we trust ourselves more than anything else in this world. And that's what that force wants us to do. So call it what you want. I believe in God, but I believe that religion just separates us. Because we all, at the very core of us, just want the very most basic thing in this world, is to live peacefully, to be loved, and to love others. I mean, that's truly what we all want, right? To be able to express ourselves and just be ourselves. So when we get to that space, there's nothing that we can worry about. You can be your best self, and just by asking questions. That's it. I appreciate you guys being here. If you missed the live or you came in late and you want to go back and check it, give it about an hour. Usually we'll at least do one post, like a little clip or something from here, with a link to it once it's uploaded on my YouTube. But I always post my replays of these. I'm almost done. Yes, then we can go to the park, but you got to give me 2 more minutes. You're making this take longer. Anyways, you can go check it out on my YouTube at Creativity Guides Me. And about an hour or so, I'll post one of these clips or something with a link so you can go directly to it. I hope this helps. And if you keep your eye out, the next one coming will be Fear is a Mirror, which is just going to dig a little deeper to help us, because now we went from rage to anger to fear. And the reason we're going backwards is because that's how it starts, right? And when we can ask that beginning question, we're going to get down to the anger, right? And when we go from rage to anger, now we understand what it is. And then when we understand that anger is just a protector because of fear, then we know how to dig there. So basically, we're moving backwards. And the reason we're moving backwards is so that we understand how to get to that core, so we can actually fix it, heal it, and love ourselves through it, okay? And if you want to know more, you can go. I have guided journals. I have my handmade teas. I have my artwork. I have all kinds of stuff at my website, creativelyguided.ca. And if you see the logo here, keep your eyes out for that and my ads, and you'll see them here too, always. This is kind of the way they come up. And it's just about planting seeds, getting curious. Because if we can do that, those small little questions, we don't only just heal ourselves, we heal the world around us by default. Okay, I love you guys. I hope this helps. Keep your eye out for the next one. Fear is a Mirror. It'll be started tomorrow, and then in 3 days, there'll be a live, and we'll have the same kind of discussion. I hope it helps. I love you guys, and have a good day.